Hello there folks, and welcome back to Bullets for Bucks. So this is going to be the start of part 2 for Archery Elk 2019. This is public land, DIY, unguided hunts. So anyhow, if you wonder why I'm all bundled up, it's because I just drove my four-wheeler for about 10 miles through rain, sleet, hail, and snow. And then it cleared up for a little bit, but I'm sure it's probably going to start snowing again later. But we got a little bit of a clear break, so that's why I'm shooting this video now. Four-wheeler's not running quite right, so that's definitely slowing me down, and I got a super late start because I'm on night shift. Got off this morning, took a nap, and then came out here. But I'm trying to put in some effort and get as deep as I can, as fast as I can. But, you know, it's always you against the elements. That's part of hunting. So, just a gorgeous view in the background there. Let me see if I can show you guys. It is overcast, but just a beautiful day nonetheless. It is probably right about peak rut right now for elk, so hopefully I get into some. All right, catch back with you guys later. I'm going to go down this trail about another, I don't know, 3 miles, park, and then hit the timber. Folks, so this is one of those days where you spend like 3 or 4 hours getting in, just spend an hour, hour and a half hunting. Probably should have just hunted way more shallow, because I came up the mountain in my truck, got to my base camp, and then four-wheeled in like 2 hours straight up a horrible trail almost to a wilderness boundary. But because of gasoline levels and time, I gotta stop and just do some hunting, or I'm literally gonna get up there and it's gonna be dark. I should have brought my tent with me and just tent camp tonight up here, but I didn't know how long it would take. So I just put a little waypoint on the map for my ATV, hit the tracking button, and we're gonna head out and just see if we can call in some elk in this timber. Nobody else is up here today. Looks like probably last weekend probably a ton of people were, but so I made it in here. I only have time to make it in here just like a mile. I have literally never seen a spot with more game trails and rubs and scrapes in my entire life. There is more rubs. I mean, the elk were in here. I think this is probably one of those spots that, like last week when it was 80 degrees, 90 degrees, those first 3 days of archery season, this is where I should have been, and I wasn't here. Oh, well, folks, like I said, I had almost no time to hunt once I got out here. I probably should have just made a different game plan. I feel like I really, last week, the first couple days of archery, was like 80, 90 degrees and full moon. I feel like I should have been up here then, and now probably lower. So I think I messed up a little bit on my game plan this year. It's going to be a tough year. You know, last year I got 2 elk. Year before I got an elk. My wife got an elk, and the year before that I got an elk. Can't remember the year before that, but anyhow, have had pretty good years. You know, nothing really special, but you know, filling the freezer, and that's what it's about. So, and having a good time. I'm just basically gonna four-wheel out of here, and then I am gonna try and park for a while in certain areas in the dark and see if I can hear any bugles or locate anything to get on tomorrow. But if not, I'll head to a little bit lower elevation tomorrow in a different spot. All right, catch back with you guys later. Folks, got up at 2 a.m., worked on the four-wheeler for about an hour, having some difficulties with it, not sure. Still not running quite right, so I might have to take it down off the mountain after this trek. I was planning on leaving it up here and work on it, but needless to say, left at about 4:30 in the morning, about an hour and a half ride on four-wheeler to this point. Now, I have been in here before, and I did see probably six elk in here 2 years ago, so that's why I came back. That was rifle season though, and this is archery, so the weather is quite a bit different. However, I tried up in the wilderness, tried below the wilderness. I'm trying down here because I am just, you know, this is a general area, like I said in probably in part 1. It's extremely difficult area and very low success, especially with archery, especially when you're unguided and not on the private land chunks. So anyhow, I'm gonna put a few trail cams up in here. in a few minutes once I hike in. I know on a hill near here there's probably more wallows than I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's ridiculously difficult to get in. It takes like 2 hours to get up and like 30 minutes to get down. It's extremely steep. So I'm actually going to cut around using the wind to my advantage on the adjoining hill where there is just a couple wallows. So anyhow, I'm going to get started hiking. Got quite a bit away because I'm planning that if I do get on elk, if I need to stay in here for a couple, till tonight, not overnight, but till tonight I can. The trail in here, the last like half mile was about 10 times worse than last year, or I mean 2 years ago. In fact, I'm not sure I made the right decision even coming in, because it is so bad that it was really risky around my machine, carrying about 150 pounds of gear plus myself on a little four-wheeler. And man, to keep it from flipping a couple times, I literally had to like push my foot out. So hopefully I can get out without something bad happening tonight. If I come in here and it's just deader than a doornail, I'll probably head out later this afternoon and try a different place this evening, but I might stay here until this evening. Due to the trail conditions and the fact that I'm not camping out here overnight, which maybe I should have, I will probably have to go out before dark though. Alright, catch back with you guys later. So the wind keeps switching directions on me. It's driving me nuts. First it was going uphill, then it was going downhill, which it should be going downhill because of thermals, but if you have enough actual just regular wind pushing it, it will still go uphill if it's at the right angle. And so it's making it really difficult to approach the spot I want to get into. Let's see. It's definitely going to my right. So I'm probably going to have to wrap around this hill. Normally I go up and there's a trail, and then it's really good because you're up on top and you can see and you don't make so much noise. But I'm probably going to have to go down around instead and up. But anyhow. Seeing where the wind was going, I saw a little tiny, like, small patch of open grass field in between the trees next to the creek, and with the wind being my favor, so I decided to hunker down here, do some cow calling, and see if I can lure one in. So far nothing, no response. And then when the wind warms up and the thermals switch to going uphill, which hopefully they do here, the weather's been pretty crazy, so it's a little unpredictable. It was raining, sleeting, and a little bit of snow all night, but pretty much just rain and sleet, which is good to get the elk moving, but I don't know if it was enough. So what I'm going to do is when those thermals switch, I'm going to go up and around and try to drop down on top of an area where I can hunt low, and also come in and set some trail cams on some wallows. As you can see, I'm trying out the First LITE camo pants, jacket, and the gloves over there on the tree. I'll probably let you know how they are on the end of the year. I think I might hear an elk. Hold on. Tell you what, these general area high mountain archery elk hunts are no joke. You can see this pine tree was literally killed from being rubbed so hard. And there is rubs. I've probably seen more elk rubs in here than I've ever seen anywhere. And poop that was only about 3 days old. So this pine tree was rubbed till it pretty much died. There's one about 20 feet that way. That looks like it was rubbed the year before this one. Check this out. This one was rubbed this year. There's a fresh branch broken off that's still green. It was so recent from when they were shedding. There's a bull in here. Well, I'm sure it's the one I saw with the cows 2 years ago. That was really a big bull. And that thing this is its home turf. This is its spot. So if it's not right here right now, hopefully post-rut during rifle season, this is where it will come back to when it's pressured until rifle season's over, and then it'll head down the mountain. So this is the spot, man. I'm gonna put some trail cams up. So I set up those trail cams and I started heading towards this area where basically it's a bench, drop off, and then a creek, but there's a really nice, well-used game trail below it. And I know there's been elk in here before. And I heard, finally, for the first time, heard a really good, not too far away bugle. You can see now that it's about 11 o'clock, and the thermals are slowly switching to go uphill now, finally. Unfortunately, the wind in these valleys that I'm in, not only is the terrain extremely tough and vertical with huge rock ledges, but the wind also swirls like crazy, which is why I believe the elk go here when they're pressured. Howdy there, folks. So I've hiked about 4 miles, but basically zigzagging through some of the toughest country there is to walk through after a early 2 a.m. start this morning. So pretty tired, so I took a little rest here in the timber with a little clearing in front of me next to a creek, and just doing some cow calling. I did hear one good bugle, possibly 1 or 2 others, very faint in the distance, but couldn't get any more responses out of them. It's about 12 a.m. Decided to pull out. I went in about 4 or 5 miles, came out, just crazy rugged hike. It is starting to sprinkle some rain. Did find 2 piles of really fresh elk poop, probably 2 days old, and some really fresh tracks. So that bugle I did hear was almost certainly the real deal, judging by where those tracks, the poop, where I heard them, and the fact that I didn't see anybody else nearby, and it was a lot deeper than I thought it was. So anyhow, bad news. I don't know how this happened. I'm not going to say that the PSE thing is bad just yet. I have been just beating my 4-wheeler to death going down rugged trails, and this case sits on the front, and I'm sure this thing probably got, even though it's a good case, it probably vibrated something loose, and actually I shot it to unload it with a bolt in it. The limbs, the right limb came off. None of the strings or cables broke. The limb came off, and the little slider piece for the cables snapped in half. So I don't know if that snapped in half and that's why the limb came off. Obviously the limb had vibrated loose, and I actually tightened those at the beginning of this season. Either I didn't tighten them tight enough, or just that the amount of abuse I put it through was enough to cause it to still vibrate and loosen up. So it's not a terrible fix. It's actually probably not even a terribly expensive fix, but I only have like another day, and I would have to drive all the way back into town, all the way back up, and get it fixed. And I don't know if places will have that little piece in stock. It's like a 50-cent piece, and actually I think when they give you these, I'm almost positive they give you 2 of those pieces, but I will never find that piece. I don't know where it's at, so I'd probably have to order that piece. So looks like I might be out. This might be the end of my 2019 archery elk. I do have a bunch of time for rifle, and I have a cow tag, but I'm not going to mess around. I mean, I at first I thought I could fix it with an Allen wrench and some, tools, but because that piece is broken, I can't.